Hello there, you are on the PRO Robots channel. In this video, we have compiled for you all the best episodes of robotics and high-tech news that were issued on the PRO Robots channel in February. GITEX Technology Week took place at the Dubai World Trade Center, bringing together the region's leading tech trade shows under one roof, including GITEX Future Stars, a high-tech startup event, GISEC, a cybersecurity conference and exhibition, Future Blockchain Summit, a platform for mechanical technology, and the first Marketing Mania, a new platform for brand marketers. While there were almost no real robots there, we thought we'd introduce you to some of the most interesting and new products at the show. The centerpiece of the main exhibition hall was the Hyundai Uber, an air cab that can travel at speeds of up to 290 kilometers per hour. So far, it has a manned version capable of carrying up to 4 passengers at altitudes of around 300 meters to a distance of 100 kilometers. The vertical takeoff model transitions to wing lift in cruising mode and then returns to vertical flight and goes in for a landing again. At the Etisalat stand, the latest BMW Vision M Next concept was presented. The hybrid car will be able to accelerate to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.5 seconds and run on both electric and gas engines. The main difference of the concept is the acoustic sound environment, like in traditional sports cars. And yes, it's not a robot, but we couldn't get past such a luxury car. Now closer to our topic. Huawei has introduced an autonomous car to deliver the last mile. 2 such robocars are already operating in the city near Dubai Mall. One battery charge lasts for 6 hours and the speed is less than 20 kilometers per hour. 4 sensors at the front and rear of the car help it avoid collisions. A screen on the side allows customers to select products and make contactless payments. Ardan, a humanoid robot, was at the show presenting itself to visitors as an interplanetary communicator between Earth and Mars. The robot doesn't come close to the famous Sophia, but it attracts attention with its blue skin. Also at this year's show, Panasonic unveiled an autonomous wheelchair that provides unlimited mobility for its owners and wearable exoskeleton for lifting weights. And Microsoft unveiled artificial intelligence to improve soil fertility in the region. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more interesting episodes. Now, on to the other news. Designer Anouk Wipprecht showed the 2016 Spider Dress, a shape-shifting robotic dress unveiled a new work in the spring. It's a 3D printed outfit for proximity social distancing. The model creates physical barriers when it detects a person in close proximity to the wearer using thermal sensors. Recently, the designer developed a new concept. Now, it is a garment that changes shape and color depending on the brain activity of the wearer. The pangolin dress connects to the wearer's brain with the help of 1204 electroencephalographic sensors and translate brainwaves into patterns. Things are looking like in the next 100 years, our clothes will undergo some serious changes. Perhaps it will be something in the style of Anouk Wipprecht. We couldn't help but include Adam Savage's new experiments with the robot Spot. We won't guess what Adam was trying to do, but we could watch this forever. DeepMind has announced a new step for artificial intelligence to learn about the real world on its own. The new system learns how to play chess, and it can play without even knowing the rules in the course of the very first game. Mu0 predicts the most relevant moves based on the data available at the moment and improves its decisions with every move. In doing so, the neural network models only those aspects that are important for decision-making. Such learning is suitable for any artificial intelligence facing unexpected factors of the outside world. Mu0 is based on 2 neural networks at one time which mimic the work of chains of neurons in the human brain. One of them assesses the player's current position on the board while the second uses the results of the first network. It chooses what to do next and speeds up calculations from there forward. Now scientists are thinking about commercial applications of this type of model. And no, it's not about destroying the world, but speeding up internet traffic for different types of content. Another private company has emerged in Russia planning to launch ultralight rockets into space. Startup Success Rockets plans to deliver small satellites into Earth's orbit. The maximum cost of one launch will be less than $3 million, and the cost of cargo delivery into orbit will not exceed $10,000 per 1 kilogram. This will enable the company to compete on the international market, in particular with the American startup Rocket Lab. Today, the company has already signed a contract for construction of a private spaceport in Dagestan. It's planned to be built by 2025. The company also plans to manufacture platforms for creation of satellites for various purposes. The SCIB-BR Cub platform will be intended for creating CubeSat standard satellites, which can be used for scientific and educational purposes. China has launched its own newest launch vehicle, the CZ-8, having 5 satellites on board. A total height of the rocket is more than 50 meters and its maximum launch mass is 356 tons. It's interesting to know that among the satellites, one was the secret XJY-7. It was launched to test new technologies. The details at this time from China are unknown. In the future, the first stage of the new rocket with lateral boosters in the Shenzhen 8R variant should become reusable and learn to land vertically on a sea platform. As a reminder, China's Chang'e 5 mission recently successfully delivered lunar soil samples to Earth, the first such mission since 1976 when the Soviet Luna 24 delivered the materials. And as interesting as that is, China, who's usually closed to the outside, has said it will make the soil available for study by researchers from other countries. Rumors leaked online that Apple's preparing to release its own drone with a revolutionary battery. The electric passenger car with advanced autopilot will be equipped with an innovative battery. It's likely to be a lithium iron phosphate monocell battery. However, in theory, this approach would allow Apple to increase capacity relative to battery weight, but cooling and protecting such a design can't be easy. In general, Apple fans are confident in the company's new breakthrough, while skeptical experts doubt that these plans can be implemented in such a short time after all. However, theoretically, we believe robocars should be widely used in the next 5 years. Another product receiving heavy scrutiny amongst experts is the Russian fighter Aeromobile without wings or propellers. It's a development of the startup company Cyonex. The creators of the fighter claim to have developed a new aerodynamic scheme, maneuverable and safe for use in the city. The compact robotic car will be fully autonomous and occupy a standard parking space as well as accommodating 2 passengers with their luggage. The flight range will be roughly 150 kilometers and traveling at speeds of 120 kilometers per hour. It can reach maximum altitudes of 1,500 meters. However, the main question, how does it fly? The company's not yet answered this, saying only that it's currently receiving technology patents and is preparing to test a full-fledged prototype in May of next year. What technologies and robots presented in the current episode did you find the most interesting? Let us know down in the comments and subscribe to the Pro Robot channel and don't miss any new releases. Robot Spot from Boston Dynamics to explore caves on Mars. The latest autonomous drone from the US Army, controlling the robot by thought, and other high-tech news in one issue. Subscribe to the channel, put a like on it, and let's go! At the annual meeting of the American Geophysical Union, NASA scientists presented the Martian Dogs project. It involves sending 4-legged robots with artificial intelligence to the Red Planet, whose tasks will be to explore the Martian caves. Robot Dogs AU Spot, based on Spot Robotics of Boston Dynamics, will be equipped with different payloads. One of the robots will have a radio-stoked power source so that the robots are not dependent on solar power. 2 dogs will be connected by a cable, and one with a manipulator on its back will go to the farthest corners of the caves. The idea to send robopods is based on the CoStar team's experience exploring underground caves at the DARPA Subterranean Challenge. The winning team used Spot, a robot equipped with sensors and special software that allowed it to safely and autonomously scan, navigate, and map the cave environment. Mars Dog will be 12 times lighter than other rovers and can move much faster than them, so the speed of Spot is 5 km per hour and the speed of Mars rover Curiosity only 0.14 km per hour. In addition, the 4-legged robot can rise if it falls. AU Spot will be able to process input from LiDAR, visual, thermal, and motion sensors to create 3-dimensional maps. Mars Dog will also use neural networks to learn what structures to avoid and identify objects that might be of scientific interest, while a communications module will allow the robot to transmit data to the surface while it explores the underground. All of this opens up new possibilities for exploring Mars, looking for signs of life on it and sites for future colonies. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology has teamed up with Naver Labs to produce a batch of new four-legged mini cheetah robots to rent out to research labs around the world. If you remember, this is also how the same robot Spot started its journey to commercial use. We await news from the mini cheetahs and their new owners. And Ghost Robotics presented an ice show with the latest version of its V4 robot. The company said these robots are already being shipped to customers, while Ghost Robotics is working on the 5th generation of the machines, which will be introduced later in 2021. U.S. researchers have taught a paralyzed patient to control the robotic arms by reading its motor cortex activity through implanted microelectrodes. The clever software allows for consistent and precise set of movements, such as precisely positioning a fork and knife, cutting food, and bringing it to the mouth. Johns Hopkins University is working on the development. 2 years ago, researchers implanted Robert Chmielewski with 96 microelectrode plates that not only read motor signals, but also stimulate the sensory cortex. Since then, Robert has been gradually learning how to control his robotic arms better and better. Vantage Robotics has unveiled a new military drone called the Vesper, made entirely in the United States. Vesper offers a 50-minute flight time of more than 70 km per hour with a total range of 45 km. The magnetic lac architecture allows the battery, struts, and rotor to be replaced in less than 5 seconds. The 690-gram quadcopter is a turnkey aerial reconnaissance system built based on criteria the company assures it received from military commanders, experienced operators, elite special forces, and industry veterans and U.S. Department of Defense security experts. They helped the Vantage team develop the Vesper Control Station, later called Vision Ground Control Station. The Vesper can operate effectively in heavy rain, high winds, extreme weather, and at night. The Vision GCS screen provides a crisp image, and the tactile flight and camera controls allow you to operate this drone even while wearing gloves. The U.S. imposed sanctions on DJI, the largest drone manufacturer in the world. The Chinese company was considered a risk factor for U.S. national security. This means banning of export of any American technology which can seriously disrupt the supply chain at DJI. Also, now U.S. stores are unlikely to be able to sell products from the Chinese company directly to consumers. The first test flight of the autonomous refueling drone, Boeing MQ-25, had a refueling capsule attached to it, and it was successful. For 2.5 hours, it worked in normal mode, and engineers did not find any errors. The test drone is a precursor to the full-scale engineering development that will take Boeing one step closer to finishing the device. The U.S. Navy wants to order more than 70 MQ-25 drones that will take on the role of refueling military FA-18 Hornet aircrafts. Automated refueling will help reduce the weight of the military aircraft to make them even faster and more maneuverable. Boeing also tested a mini swarm of aircraft-type drones. 5 aircraft-type drones are capable of operating in swarms without any human intervention. Researchers state that the presented system goes beyond classical autopilots and autonomous navigation algorithms. In particular, it can be not only programmed but also taught, receiving timely, adequate response to the appearance of new irritants in the external environment. Developer Marcel Rees presented a prototype of the Holotron virtual reality walking device. The exoskeleton allows you to control any humanoid avatar. The video demonstrates low time delay and two-way force and balance feedback when walking in virtual reality. The current prototype uses only 2 motors for each leg, 1 for each knee and hip joint. But in the future, it will include 5 motors for each leg. The design is modular and can be both modified and supplemented with exoskeletons for the arms, hands, and back. The development is being carried out on the bare enthusiasm of Rees and his team of associates, so, for the time being, it's limited to the use of inexpensive elements. The German research project ROPHA presented the results of technology development for scenarios using the CareO Bot 4-service robot to help people. The first scenario involves selecting a meal on a tablet PC, having the robot recognize the food on the table, and feeding it. The second scenario is for the handling of food itself, sprinkling, cutting, etc. Since the software and control components are modular, they can quickly be used for many scenarios and applications with other equipment. The GitAI S1 autonomous robot continues to prepare for work on the International Space Station. 2 new experiments with the robot include tasks that can be performed inside the space station, including working with equipment, as well as tasks to assemble elements in outer space. The Amazon-owned startup, Zoox, has unveiled an autonomous electric vehicle that can run for 16 hours during the day and recharge at night. The unmanned car is supposed to move independently in city traffic and carry 4 passengers at speeds of up to 120 kilometers per hour. This car is more than 3.5 meters long and has a symmetrical design and electric motors on both axles, allowing it to move in reverse without turning around. The autopilot system includes LiDAR, radar, and cameras. An airbag is provided for each passenger. The drones are currently undergoing private testing on private roads in Las Vegas, San Francisco, and Foster City. In the future, Zoox plans to deploy a fleet of robotic cars as a part of its cab service. British engineers have developed a robotic arm capable of recognizing the touch of objects by means of solar panels on its surface. The contact and location of the object on the surface of the arm is determined by the panels closing against the light and stopping their energy production. There are also infrared LEDs in the hand, which together with the solar panels work as a proximity sensor. The Russian Ka-26 helicopter has become a drone. The Belarusian company UVR, which develops cargo drones, created on the basis of the Soviet helicopter combo drone with a payload of up to 1 ton, maximum speeds at 160 kilometers per hour, and a range of up to 250 kilometers. During the test, the drone took off, flew according to preset programs, and landed in a fully autonomous mode. UVR engineers continue to develop a high-level autopilot using computer vision, which will expand the drone's functionality and allow it to fly without GPS. In December, the Angara A5 rocket successfully lifted off from the Plesetsk launch site. At the scheduled time, 12 minutes 28 seconds after liftoff, the orbital unit comprised of the Briz-M upper stage and a cargo weight mock-up of the spacecraft separated from the third stage of the launch vehicle. The next launch of the Angara A5 Heavy-class launch vehicle from the Plesetsk Cosmodrome is scheduled for the third quarter of 2021, while the Angara 1.2 Light-class launch vehicle is scheduled for the fourth quarter. The launch of the Heavy Angara is planned for the first time with the Persei upper stage and a spacecraft mock-up. The launch of the Light Angara will take place with a satellite mock-up. Delivery of serial Angara 5 rockets is expected in 2022 to 2024. The first test launch of the new Russian Eagle spacecraft in unmanned mode on the Angara rocket is scheduled for December 15th of 2023. If your dog is home alone for a long time and has no one to watch cat videos with on YouTube, the Danish Institute of Technology has an idea as a gift for it. Subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends, and don't miss any new releases. There are many more interesting things to come. Boston Dynamics unveiled 3 major updates to its Spot robot. The robot can now act more autonomously at remote locations and perform complex tasks with smart robotic arms. All the details in this one episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Pro Robots channel. Let's go! At the request of large customers, the company created a new version of the robot that can be sent anywhere and left forever alone. Not only does the new Spot Enterprise contain a more powerful processor for advanced autonomous tasks, but it also is capable of charging itself. This means that while Spot Explorer could run for 90 minutes without recharging, the Spot Enterprise can work offline independently. The charging station contains a small QR tags that Spot cameras can identify and use to correctly position the robot. The docking station includes a wired connection to the internet, making it faster and more reliable to download sensor data collected by Spot during its travels. But self-charging isn't enough to send Spot to a remote oil platform, an underground mine, or the moon and just forget about it. Reliable remote controls are also needed, and Boston Dynamics introduced the Scout interface, which is also compatible with past versions of the robot. Scout works over a slow internet connection, requiring only a couple of megabits per second to control the robot. This is achieved by doing all the calculations and information processing on-site. The system uses a Boston Dynamics server that's been installed on the same local network as the robot. This server processes and compresses data from the robot before sending it over the internet. Previously, the robot Spot could also be controlled via the internet. Boston Dynamics itself developed its own tools in-house for this, offering potential customers remote testing of the robot and third-party companies such as Rocos and Formant. But Scout is the first app that can be used no matter how far the owner is from the robot. The control process is still no different than a video game, and you can use an actual video game controller to do it. Although there's a noticeable delay between pressing a button and the robot's response, it doesn't really affect the control process overall, as the robot can largely move around and perform tasks autonomously. And for repetitive missions, no operator is needed at all. With Scout, multiple or one operator can control one or more robots, however not simultaneously. Currently, only one operator will have access to a specified robot, and the others can watch the robot and see the data it provides. The company has not forgotten about security either. Security best practices have been implemented at every level of the system. Both on the robot and the server use full data encryption both in transmission and at rest. The company also recommends that its customers use a VPN to add an extra layer of security to the connection between the operator's local system and the robot's remote site. So, the robot dog uprising is off for now. The only disadvantage of Scout is the lack of ability to control the new robot arm through it. Boston Dynamics has been working on an arm for four-legged robots for quite some time now. The sensational video in 2018 in which Spot used his hand to open a door was not the first. In 2016, Spot unloaded a dishwasher with his hands and fetched a beer, albeit not successfully. But the first tryouts took place back in 2013 when Big Dog was scattering cinder blocks with his hydraulic arm, using his whole body to keep his balance. Spot's arm is not as powerful, it can only drag a cinder block on the ground, but it's not small either. At 8 kilograms, its arm with 8 degrees of freedom can lift 5 kilograms of weight, but more importantly, it can act in concert with the entire robot body and perform a number of tasks autonomously. Just point the robot to a lever to switch or a door to open, and it grabs and turns the object by itself. In doing so, the robot will use its legs and body position to increase the strength of its arm. According to developers, although Spot's arm uses a very simple grip with only 1 degree of freedom, its design is thoughtful enough to allow the robot to firmly grasp even round objects, such as a round door handle. The robot had to open every existing door in Boston Dynamics headquarters before the engineers decided the gripper was good enough. Interestingly, all of the scenes in the new video, such as planting a plant or picking up clothes for laundry, are almost fully integrated autonomous behaviors based on a prescribed script. For example, engineers have trained sensors to detect an object, and the robot identifies that object in the environment, picks it up, and puts it in the garage, doing all of this autonomously. The scripted part of this process is to tell the robot to perform a series of specific actions. This is to indicate a point on the map, and the robot will go there by itself, choosing a route and bypassing obstacles. It's the same here, just click on an object on the remote screen and the robot will pick it up by itself, choosing the strength and method of grasping. The tablet's interface is enough for any operator, even with minimal training, to tell the robot things to pick up or levers to turn. For more complex actions that need to be done by hand, the robot can be programmed by itself through an open API. This way of control, by the way, can give interesting jobs for people with disabilities. They can become full-fledged robot operators. The price of the robot with a robot arm has not yet been disclosed. However, for the 400 Spot devices already sold, those owners can buy the robot arm if they get it professionally installed. If you want to check out more about this robot and its details, check out the video in the card above. Subscribe to the PRO Robot channel, like this video, and share it with your friends. Looks like Boston Dynamics has a lot more interesting things ahead. Super intelligent artificial intelligence will finally destroy us. Robot hybrids, robot farms and robot cars, drones for drifting, space news, and other technology news in this one video. Like the video and let us know in the comments what news surprised you in this week's episode. Scientists have proven that superintelligent artificial intelligence will be impossible to control. Moreover, humanity may never have time to realize the moment when the machine will become smarter than the man. The fact is, artificial intelligence can be controlled in two ways: by controlling what it can do, for example, by disconnecting it from the internet, or by controlling what it wants to do, for example, by teaching it ethical norms and rules. In the first case, a super intelligent machine would probably be able to bypass the restrictions, but in the second case, the person may not be smart enough to properly train the neural networks. In addition, an algorithm designed to ensure that a superintelligent AI cannot harm humans must first simulate the machine's behavior to predict the consequences of its actions. However, no human-created algorithm can accurately predict the behavior of a superintelligent AI. Thus, Isaac Asimov's first law of robotics, which states that a robot cannot harm humans or allow humans to be harmed by its inaction, is simply not enforceable. But there is some good news here, and that is, superintelligent machines won't be around for at least another 200 years. The Wyss Institute for Biological Engineering at Harvard University has developed a robot for laser microsurgery. The semi-autonomous attachment to a standard endoscope controls and operates the laser very precisely, redirecting the beam to small target areas. In doing so, the robot features high speed and positioning accuracy, a very high number of degrees of freedom, and a miniaturized design. Hey, while you're here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and make sure you keep up with the latest news from the world of high tech. The Yes Hell Group and Nordic Harvest opened the largest vertical farm in Europe, near Copenhagen. It occupies 7,000 square meters and it's lit up by 20,000 LED lamps powered by wind turbines. The farm is expected to produce more than 1,000 tons per year of crops such as spicy herbs, cabbage, and lettuce. The developers claim that all processes on the farm are robotic and do not require any human intervention. In addition, the growing process is so optimized that it requires 95% less water compared to traditional methods of plant cultivation. The startup RockyBot.ai introduced Rocky, a robot companion for pets. The robot with 2 cameras, a speaker, and a microphone can move freely around the house. Controlling it with just your smartphone, you can play with the pet with a laser pointer, or just give it a treat with a specialized compartment that holds treats. Rocky currently costs $200 in the United States. In our 1 minute of space news this week, Virgin Orbit successfully launched the Launcher 1 rocket from a Boeing 747 at the second attempt into orbit, delivering 9 CubeSat satellites for NASA. Due to the fact that the aircraft lifts the rocket with cargo of up to 500 kilograms to a certain altitude before launch, the fuel consumption for the launch is reduced, and that reduction is the cost of the launch itself, making Virgin Orbit competitive in the marketplace. NASA recently tested the engines of the Super Heavy launch vehicle for the SLS mission to the Moon. The fire test ended in failure. The 4 RS-25 engines were supposed to run for more than 8 minutes, which is the amount of time it takes to launch a rocket, but ended up lasting about 1 minute and shut down. However, NASA management considers this result to be progress. And given that the SLS readiness dates have been constantly postponed for years now, we'll agree, at this point, it's something. Blue Origin tested the New Shepard rocket with the new BE-3PM liquid hydrogen and oxygen engine, as well as an upgraded capsule for tourists. The rocket's 14th flight followed by a ballistic trajectory. The passenger capsule separated after 2.5 minutes and at an altitude of 107 kilometers and at speeds of more than 3,500 kilometers per hour, after which it opened its parachute and landed. The rocket itself landed on the edge of a takeoff pad just a few minutes earlier, taking only about 10 minutes for the entire flight. This flight was also the first for the RSS First Step capsule, which received 6 seats, a communication system with the Mission Control Center, displays, an environmental control system, improved acoustics, and internal temperature control. Another test of this rocket will take place at the end of the month, and the first flight with an actual crew is scheduled for March. Toyota Research Institute presented the results of a study that combined the reflexes of professional drivers and automated driving technology for emergency situations. The work is designed to take the Toyota's Guardian Active Driver Assistance technology to the next level. If you want to know more, check out the tip in the video card above. For this purpose, engineers created an electric sports car with autopilot Marty based on the DeLorean model, as well as an unmanned GR Supra Coupe. As a result, the drifting drone got a system based on the skills of professional racers with the speed of electronics. The team of Autonomous Systems Laboratory at the Zurich University of Technology presented a video of the Micro Aerial Vehicle 2020. On it, the developers showed the best moments of their research over the past year. These include using drones to take soil samples, detect fires, inspect buildings, and even ride on walls with drones. Samsung Heavy Industries is conducting final tests of its fully autonomous craft and preparing to commercialize the new technology. RoboShips uses 360-degree cameras, LiDAR, radar, 5G modules, and artificial intelligence technologies for navigation and situational awareness, responsible for steering and optimal course actions. In case of emergencies, a remote captain can take over the controls. The Israeli startup PRO Robotics presented a technology for protecting private homes and enclosed businesses. The Tando system consists of an autonomous drone, a docking station, cloud analytics based on artificial intelligence, and mobile applications for remote control of the system. Drones with LiDAR, cameras, and thermal imaging collect data, which is processed by a neural network. If Tando detects a threat or suspicious objects, it will send an alert to the app or call the appropriate service itself. The startup claims its system will cost less than a human guard for the business, but the question is, Ghost Robotics shared two pieces of news on Twitter at one time. First, the company's robot dog, Vision 60, has become part of the team at the U.S. cellular operation of Verizon, which is currently developing 5G technology. Second, the robot dog successfully passed a cross-country test on a mud hill. Anybotic also showed another superpower of its robot animal, fearlessly attacking snowdrifts. It looks like this robot can really walk everywhere. Deep Robotics also continues to improve its robot dog, improving its coordination and stability on different surfaces. So far, the robot looks fragile and unsure, but the company's progress is evident. Cruise, a subsidiary of GM Cruise, which is also developing drones, has raised $2 billion in funding and a new partner in Microsoft. Cruise will now use Microsoft's Azure Cloud computing service for its drones. It's worth noting that Microsoft has quietly created many tools for the development and deployment of robo-drones. These include Azure High-Performance Computing Products, a program for autonomous driving startups, Azure Maps, and an autonomous vehicle modeling platform named Cognata. The prototype of the Hover unmanned aircab was tested at Luzhniki in Moscow. Hover takes off and can land vertically, as it has enough standard parking space. Instead of opening propellers, blocks of electric fans in the ring fairings with increased efficiency due to the Venturi effect. The only pity is that HoverSurf did not show a video of the test. So far, we have to hold on to hope and the photos and hope to see a real aero taxi this spring at the open site in Skolkovo. By the way, the ABB collaborative robot Yumi has found a job in Russia. He helps to test the insulin syringes used at Novo Nordisk's plant in Kaluga. This is the first applications of the IRB 1400 robot at a factory in Russia. Yumi is installed in the factory's laboratory and is testing the ratchet mechanism of the insulin syringe pin. And in China, 2 ABB robots have automated medication dispensing. Medical personnel enter drug prescriptions into an information system. The IRB 2600 robot quickly finds the container of medicine and hands it to its robotic pharmacist counterpart, which is the IRB 1200. Working with 3D vision, the IRB 1200 selects prescription drugs from boxes and places them in a basket on the other side of the device. The conveyor belt delivers the basket to a human pharmacist who then checks the contents one last time before sending them out for delivery. The robots can handle up to 360 containers and 720 packages of drugs per hour respectively, working both day and in night. Yumi has also learned how to score snooker balls with ease, thanks to its flexible arms and precise movements. A Tesla car peeked into the nether world, finding an object identified by the system as a person in the vicinity of a cemetery. Yet, no one was visible on the street. Elon Musk has not yet commented on the superpowers of their cars. But thanks to Tesla for this new video, you can now look endlessly at 4 things: how water flows, how fire burns, how humans work, and how robots make new, 5 times more capacity for Tesla batteries. If you want more great robot videos, subscribe to the Pro Robot channel, like this video, and don't miss any new episodes. Robots, technologies, and companies that have achieved outstanding results in 2020. These are worth keeping an eye on in 2021. Let's see the top robots in different categories, from the coolest and most dangerous to the weirdest and most unusual robots. Like this video and let us know what are your top projects in the comments. Let's start off the top with the weirdest amateur robotics projects. This year we had a lot of fun with Michael Reeves and his homegrown robotic surgeon controlled by hand movements. This project is too far from being useful, so it's going to be in last place for our top series. Shane Whiten's project looks a bit more interesting. This haircutting robot really does its job, though not very well yet. But Shane plans to develop the project and add spot coloring to it as well as making options for animals. And that's going to be second place. And in first place is Takashi Kabuki and his challenge to build a running robot in 100 days from scratch. Starting with the most rudimentary designs, Takashi has consistently explored every aspect of the robot's movement and continues to improve it to this day. Today marks the 172nd day. Now let's look at some unusual professional projects. And the first will be the world's largest robot, the Gundam. At 18 meters high and weighing 25 tons, the robot with 24 degrees of freedom is driven by electric motors and controlled by the Azratec V-Cyto operating system. Another amazing project was the Disney research robot with realistic facial expressions. This robot's animatronic torso reacted to its surroundings, accurately reproducing the facial reactions of the robot's given character. Disney Research is actually working on a lot of very interesting projects, and it's been fun watching them work. We think they'll be able to surprise us in 2021. In 2020, we finally saw the long-awaited release of the commercial version of Molly Robotic Chef, whose exciting announcements have been stirring up the internet for years. The real prototype differs greatly from the graphics, but still looks really good and functional. The owner can choose 1 out of 5,000 dishes, and the robot will cook it completely by itself. The only flaw is the exorbitant price of about $335,000, but the manufacturer promises to make the robot cheaper when it goes into mass production. The first customer will get their hands on Molly this year. The robot has a competitor though, the Samsung Bot Chef, introduced at CES 2020, but we haven't heard anything about it since then. Which of these unusual projects is best? And we'll leave it up to you to decide. Vote down in the comments. Oh, and subscribe to the channel. There's many more reviews of the coolest robots ahead. It's time for a hot top of the coolest robots of 2020. What do you think is worthy of the Robot of the Year title? Boston Dynamics robot Spot, which proved the company's commercial potential and managed to enter not only the construction and oil and gas sectors as well as visual inspection and data collection, but even into the space sphere, becoming the basis for NASA's project to launch robot dogs for Mars exploration. More than 400 robots have been sold to date. We've talked about this at length in other issues, so if you want to learn more, click the card above. The Digit robot is the world's first commercial humanoid robot from Agility Robotics. This robot, with a LiDAR instead of a head and stereo cameras on its torso, is capable of navigating in space, walking across rough terrain, and climbing ladders and carrying weights up to 18 kilograms. The price has not yet been disclosed, but the amount is known to be in the 6 figures. The company received $20 million last year, which means investors believe Digit is in demand. The Atlas robot, noted this year not only for its mind-blowing dancing, but also for the fact that it's begun to learn new moves and much faster. Engineers at Boston Dynamics used to prescribe the robot's behavior literally line by line. Now, Atlas is learning quickly in simulations. If you want to know more about this one in a future episode, put a plus sign in the comments and share this video. Another contender is Toyota's Home Robot, which is interesting by the way it can move around your house. It literally hangs from the ceiling, appearing only when it's needed. Personally, we're sure that at least some of the homes in the future will be built with such robots in mind, because, well, it's convenient. And the last contender for Robot of the Year is not only the most affordable, but very advanced robot, and that is Dog from Unitree A1. The robot can carry loads weighing up to 5 kilograms and can walk at speeds of more than 3 meters per second. On one charge alone, the robot weighing 12 kilograms and standing 40 centimeters tall can work from 1 to 2.5 hours. A1 gets its information about the environment through 2 cameras, transmitting high-definition video to a human operator, and currently, the price is less than $10,000. But we're partial. We still think Spot is the robot of the year. It's the undisputed leader in terms of attention, media coverage, and applications. Our compilation of the top robots would not be complete without military robots. And in the main trend, here's the robot swarm technology. For example, Rheinmetall introduced a wolf pack of robot tanks. The autonomous swarm moves and identifies targets using a camera system and artificial intelligence, while the decision to fire is going to be made by a human operator. Reconnaissance robots can also carry kamikaze drone launchers. Drone swarms in the sky are also relevant as the development of robotic pilots and artificial intelligence capable of controlling combat aircrafts and helicopters. An example is the DARPA Alias project, which is a system consisting of robotic pilots, a voice interface, and software. Alias can easily be installed on any active U.S. Army helicopter by adding LiDAR and cameras. The trained artificial intelligence system that will be able to control aircraft and engage in close air combat is the future and being developed by DARPA, called Air Combat Evolution. The neural network system should be faster and more efficient than humans. It's expected to be tested in 2024. But the most interesting announcement from the sphere of military robots is a project that can be followed for the next 15 years, and that's the future fighter Tempest of the UK Ministry of Defence. This 6th-generation autonomous jet fighter is invisible to the enemy, will be armed with hypersonic and directed energy weapons. Built-in artificial intelligence will be able to control a swarm of slave drones and share important information with other combat robots. And that is first place. If you want to learn more, check out the link in the card. The next best robots are robots that have already replaced humans. The 3 significant 2020 categories include Waymo's most advanced drones to date, already operating a cab service in Arizona without a pilot in the cab. Next up is delivery robots seeking to replace couriers and make deliveries contactless. The 2020 Robo-Courier of the Year was Starship Robots, 70 of which delivered groceries to healthcare workers during the lockdown. In total, the roomy Robo-Couriers, designed to travel at 6.5 kilometers per hour on sidewalks, have traveled more than 200,000 kilometers in 20 countries and more than 100 cities around the world, making more than 20,000 food and package deliveries. And also sharing the robot red zone is medical robots. We give them first place because they're a perfect example of where and how robots should be used. Disinfector robots, drug transporting robots, test collecting robots, and robots for the remote presence of doctors all kept people safe from the dangers of the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic. The leader, for example, among disinfector robots is the Danish company UVD Robots. For the best robots in the fight against the pandemic, see the issue in the description from the Robots Against COVID-19. The most innovative robotic companies also can't be overlooked, and among them, contenders for the Company of the Year are Boston Dynamics or Hyundai, which both brought the coolest robot developers in the world. From this deal, we expect a new phase in the company's robot development, and at the very least, the introduction of Handle, the warehouse robot, to the market. And with possible contract to produce Apple autonomous cars, Hyundai could become the leader in robotics. Geek Plus deployed more than 10,000 of its autonomous mobile robots around the world in 2020 and launched Robo Shuttle System for multi-level warehouse automation, allowing it to deliver goods right into the hands of a human from anywhere in the warehouse from up to 5 meters. But most importantly and interesting, the company has opened a factory that uses its robots to create new robots. Sarcos Robotics was the first company to commercialize the Guardian XO full-body exoskeleton for industrial use. The exoskeleton can help people lift between 15 and 90 pounds and reduce their risk of injury. It's designed to be worn for an entire shift and can last up to 8 hours on a single charge. The military is currently also considering using an exoskeleton. The Boston-based company Vicarious combines a virtual reality with robotics in its development of a tiny surgical robot with cameras and human hand proportions that can enter the patient's abdomen through a small incision. The surgeon can then perform a surgery using VR controls that recreate what the robot sensors see inside the body. And finally, there's the Chinese company UB Tech. To them, we're going to give first place because they, on one hand, continue to believe in personal robots and develop their project of home humanoid robot Walker, and on the other hand, keep their hands on the pulse of events and create useful robots for service and medicine industries, such as Aimbot and Adibot, as well as the Robot Cruiser, already working in hospitals and EasyHome, the largest Chinese network of repair products. And the company is consistently updating its line of children's kits so they can learn robotics as well. Separately, we want to highlight the robotics of Company of the Year in Russia, PRO Robot. By opening an office in the US and registering a company in Hong Kong, PRO Robot quickly adapted to life in the face of the coronavirus pandemic, developed and began delivering its disinfection robots, thermal control terminals with face recognition, and humanoid robot administrators to companies and institutions. For the next year, Motorika Company has best chances to be nominated. The socially significant project, which develops affordable and functional prosthesis devices for children and adults, received CE marking back in May, allowing its products to be supplied to the European Union. In 2021, the company plans to fully enter the EU market, and it's a great achievement for such an important and really good project. NASA prepared and sent the largest and most complex robot in history to Mars. See how the mission was prepared, what unique experiments the Perseverance rover and its partner, the Ingenuity helicopter, had to conduct, all in this one issue. The Mars 2020 mission, launched from Earth on July 30, 2020, was the most technically challenging mission NASA has ever sent to Mars, and Perseverance was the 9th spacecraft to land on the surface of the Red Planet. The landing lasted 7 minutes. The module of the mission, which contained a rover and a helicopter, entered the planet's atmosphere at about 20,000 kilometers per hour. 4 minutes later, the module released the parachute, dropped the heat shield, and activated the instrument to determine the distance to the planet's surface. In the next step, the 8 rocket engines of the Sky Crane system were launched, which reduced the speed of the module to 3 kilometers per hour. When only a few meters remained to the surface, the Perseverance rover was carefully lowered on nylon cords. After the so-called 7 minutes of terror, the vehicle successfully landed on the surface. It's important to note that all of this happened in automatic mode. Radio signals from Mars reached Earth in just 11 minutes, so it was impossible to control the process manually. When NASA received confirmation of a successful landing, the apparatus had already landed on the surface and made a picture on one of 23 of its cameras. As planned, the Perseverance rover landed near the Izero crater in a region called Isis Plain. It's thought to have been home to a river delta and a lake about 4 billion years ago. Due to this, it's the most interesting to science in terms of finding traces of ancient life on Mars. Perseverance weighs 1,025 kilograms, and NASA spent 7 years and $2 billion to develop it. Despite all of this, it's the fact that it's largely made from spare parts of another planet rover named Curiosity. Perseverance has high expectations in terms of searching for extraterrestrial life forms and conducting one very important experiment for future colonizers. The rover's unique instruments include a laser capable of blasting rocks, microphones and cameras, a powerful drill, a mobile weather station, and the first radar ever sent to the surface of Mars. Unlike past rovers, most Perseverance cameras capture images in color. After landing, 2 hazard cameras captured views from the front and back of the rover, showing one of its wheels in the Martian mud. Using an impact drill and bucket, the rover will collect soil samples, photograph them, and place them in its inner chamber. There they will be stored, sealed in titanium tubes until another robot picks them up for delivery back to Earth. But the most ambitious experiment will be an attempt to extract oxygen from Mars' atmosphere, which is 95% carbon dioxide. A special MOXIE instrument will separate oxygen atoms from existing carbon dioxide molecules. If successful, the scientists will get 2 results at once. First, they will confirm the possibility of using the power of Earth's electrochemistry on another planet, and second, they will prove the possibility of getting oxygen in the right amounts for humans in the future. Perseverance delivered to Mars a specially designed Ingenuity helicopter attached to the probe body. Its mission is reduced to several short flights lasting no more than 3 minutes and at ranges of around 600 meters, with a maximum altitude at no more than 10 meters high. The essence of the project is to make sure that the atmosphere of Mars is suitable for helicopter movement, and if successful, the helicopter will not only help Mars rover with the construction of the route, but also help NASA engineers with the construction of a more advanced helicopter to explore Mars for future missions. And if the helicopter only manages to take off and hover in place, the mission will be considered at least a 90% success. In the coming days, engineers will study the rover system data, update its software, and begin testing various tools. In the coming weeks, Perseverance will test its robotic arm and make its first short trip. It will take at least 1 to 2 months for the rover to find a flat spot to land Ingenuity, and it will take even longer for the helicopter to finally set off. The primary goal of the Perseverance mission on Mars is astrobiological research, including the search for signs of ancient microbial life. The rover will characterize the planet's geology, past climate, and will be the first mission to collect and harbor Martian rocks and regolith, paving the way for human exploration of the Red Planet. Subsequent missions by NASA in cooperation with the European Space Agency will send spacecraft to Mars to collect these samples from the surface and return them to Earth for in-depth analysis. Interestingly enough, in July of 2020, 3 countries at one time sent interplanetary space probes to Mars. In addition to the Americans, the UAE and China did so as well. However, unlike the US, the UAE and Chinese missions are aimed at working on the orbit of the Red Planet, although China's Tianwen-1 will also try to land on Mars this spring. The UAE's Martian mission involves the HOPE satellite, the Al-Amal HOPE. It was the first of 3 probes to orbit the planet on February 9, 2021. The satellite will spend 2 years testing at various altitudes. Its goal is to provide the world's scientific community with the first complete description of the Martian atmosphere. On February 10, 2021, the Chinese device Tianwen-1 will also study the Martian atmosphere entered into orbit on Mars. Just 3 months later, it will have to land on the surface of Mars and thus becoming the first Chinese rover in history to land on Mars. Like the US, Perseverance, the Chinese probe will search for signs of life and the water it needs beneath the planet's surface. China's ambitious plans raise concerns in expert circles about the new space race, in which China could become the main competitor for the space powers. First of all, for the US and Europe, which are cooperating under the new Artemis lunar program, which provides for the placement of bases on the lunar surface and in its orbit. Stay up to date on space missions and high-tech technologies. Subscribe to the PRO Robots channel, like this video, and don't miss any new episodes. We'll see you on the next one. Elon Musk has implanted a neural chip in a monkey. New tests for Starship, robocars, robots for entertainment, and other high-tech news in this one video. Now, on to some other news. Elon Musk recently shared another Neuralink progress report. Last time, he showed a pig with the chip implanted in its brain, and now he said, and we quote, "We have a monkey with a wireless implant in its skull with tiny wires which can play video games with its mind." According to Musk, the location of the implant is completely invisible, and the monkey itself is quite happy. Neuralink's neurochip is being developed to help overcome the effects of brain and spinal cord injuries. But in the future, the startup's goal will be to extend the brain's capabilities by connecting it to a computer. A video of the monkey playing games with its mind should appear this month. SpaceX conducted a test launch of the next-generation Starship S9 prototype spacecraft from the launch pad in South Texas. The test program included a flight with altitudes reached of 10 kilometers high, and after which SN9 had to perform a rollover maneuver for a controlled descent using aerodynamic rudders. Having successfully launched, the ship rose to a predetermined altitude, shutting down all 3 engines in turn, and after that, it went into a gliding descent mode. At altitudes of 700 meters, the 50-meter-high ship began to level off vertically, but the momentum was too strong, and by the time it hit the landing pad, it tilted strongly to the opposite side. In addition to this, as in the first test, which also ended in an explosion, the ignition of the second engine did not work and the operating power was not enough to fully extinguish the inertia of the fall. Company experts said the test was generally successful with only the landing to be finalized. Ford has invested $29 billion over the next 5 years to develop its electric and robot cars. Most of the cars the company intends to produce of the future will be electric. Last year, Ford presented a version of the future Mustang Mach-E, which is an electric crossover that has 1,400 horsepower and a top speed too high for street driving. In addition to the Mustang, Ford also unveiled an electric Ford Transit. The electrified iconic Ford F-150 pickup should be a hit this year, and Ford has confirmed in recent news that the company will partner with Google to integrate Android into millions of cars starting in 2023. Researchers from Harvard's John Paulson School of Engineering and the Wyss Institute for Biological Engineering unveiled a robot that's capable of autonomous self-organization. The Blue Swarm robot can synchronize their movements like biological fish by taking cues from their neighbors. Each Blue Dot robot is equipped with 3 LED indicators, a battery, a pair of cameras, a Raspberry Pi computer, and 4 controllable fins in a 3D printed body. The cameras detect fellow swimmers' LEDs and apply a special algorithm to calculate distance, direction, and course of travel. Blue Swarm can self-organize behavior, including aggregation, dispersal, and circle formations. This behavior is fashionable for reef research, search operations, and improving the performance of any drones requiring decentralized movement and organization. The Mesmer and Engineering Arts unveiled their new entertainment robot, Clio. He sings and gestures, trying to realistically express human emotions through his hands. And we gotta say, his hands are more expensive than his actual facial expressions. The FASA 35 solar-powered electric drone with a wingspan of 35 meters has successfully completed its maiden flight in Australia. Designed for unmanned flights up in the stratosphere, the drone is intended to be an affordable alternative to satellites that can perform useful tasks such as forest fire detection and sea surveillance. GRVC Robotics Laboratory showed its experiments on installing bird deterrents on high-voltage power lines using drones. Personally, we like the armed drone option. What about you? Let us know down in the comments. Starship Delivery Robots has made 1 million autonomous deliveries worldwide, and in all, the company has opened about 15 to 20 service areas around the world, and the 1 millionth delivery happened in Bowling Green, Ohio, and that delivery recipient was student named Annika Keaton. Developers have announced the Haptics Glove DK2 as the most advanced gloves with haptic feedback. The gloves were designed for teaching, designing, and controlling robots simulate realistic contact with a surface through patented technology that shifts the skin on the fingers just like a real object. The gloves with the world's most powerful feedback are reported to contain 133 haptic feedback points per hand for full palm and fingertip coverage. Urban Airport will build the world's first airport for flying cars and delivery drones in Coventry. Air One will be the universal takeoff and landing pad for the air transport of the future. The drone port is designed on the principle of infrastructure as a service, as it is a fast-mounted construction. All the main parts which will fit into one standard 12-meter ISO container. The finished airport looks like a truncated cone with a round runway on top. If the customer wishes, a variety of rooms can be arranged inside. Restrooms, waiting rooms, or conference areas. The Hyundai Motor Group, whose flying cars are likely to be the first airport operators, is helping to implement the Urban Airport project. New rumors about Apple's electric car have appeared online. The company is now credited with $3.6 billion to invest in electric cars and collaborate with the South Korean automaker Kia. Supposedly, the iCar could roll off the assembly line at Kia's plant in the US in Georgia as early as 2024. The initial production plan is 100,000 electric cars per year, and despite Kia and Apple's refusal to comment on the rumors, it is reported that the contract between the companies has been signed on February 17th. TuSimple's 5,000 unmanned trucks will hit Chinese roads and facilities as early as this year. The California startup's robotic trucks have driven 45,000 kilometers on autopilot in the past 18 months without any incidents. They now have been cleared to travel on China's shared roads without test drivers behind the wheel. Details have not yet been reported, but most likely we're talking about installing the TuSimple unmanned system on conventional trucks from different companies. Also, Level 4 autonomy, the Inscription L4, can be seen on some trucks with TuSimple autopilot. Robot trucks can make long trips without interruptions or stops and never violate traffic laws. Jeff Bezos has stepped down from Amazon's CEO position after 27 years at the head of the company. However, in his new position as Amazon's executive chairman, Bezos will still be in charge, simply now able to devote more time to new products and projects such as the space company Blue Origin. While you're here, subscribe to the Pro Robot channel, like this video, and don't miss any new high-tech news.